wanted to take a moment, the next 10 or 15 minutes or so, and just give an update about our missions. One of the things, I know it's a goal of the mission committee to do a better job of communicating with each of you what's happening and what's happening around the world. So this is an effort. We realize we've got a lot more work to do to really be good at it, but we do think it's important for you to know what's happening and how we're supporting spreading the gospel throughout the world. I want to start off with just a few thank yous. First of all, I want to thank you. When you look at our mission budget and the mission works we support and the future works we're going to support, it's really it's because of you and your support and your love for lost souls and how we're able to do this, and I thank you for that, and I appreciate the hearts that you have for seeking and saving the lost through the gospel of Jesus Christ. Our committee members, you can see those up there. I'll go back real quick. There's a couple people I want to thank. I won't go through all the mission committee members, but you can see them there. If you ever have questions, certainly reach out to some of us. I know Gary, Miley, and Dennis Lawless, they were the most recent that we've added to the committee. They're both doing an outstanding job, and I appreciate the work they do along with the other men that have been a part of the committee for a period of time. I also want to thank Jenny Green. I know she does work with World Bible School, and appreciate the work that she does with that, along with Gary and someone else maybe behind the scenes, Melissa Ash. I want to thank her. We throw a lot of things at her with how we fund things and who we support and one-time support and other things we do, and she's a superstar. She gets it right every time and does a good job. And I want to mention Lindsay. She takes care of our missions board, our website, other things that she does, and she too does great work, and appreciate her contribution. I don't know that anybody asked her. She jumped in and did it, and we're so appreciative of that, and I don't know that anybody more qualified to do it, but we appreciate that effort. And I certainly don't want to leave others out. I know Reach Night and many other ways that people contribute to the mission effort, and I just say thank you to everyone that's involved. The next is kind of just a picture slide of all the places, or not really all the places, but a lot of the places that we support, and if we continue on, we support currently. On the next slide, you can see 19 current works, and many you're familiar with, not most, if all of these works. We have George Funk with the Gospel Chariot. We have Will Hanstein at Southeast Institute of Biblical Studies, Serge Villerson in Haiti, Heritage Christian University, Ricky Goodham in India, World Bible School, Mission Printing, which sends supplies and literature to Africa and other places, the Baxter Institute. We have Juan Carlos in Nicaragua, which Keith is going to work with, I think, in the coming weeks, along with Jeff and Dale, as mentioned earlier. John Orr with Home Missions, who spoke to us previously, and we're familiar with his work. We mentioned Jeff, and then Vanden in India, John Paul, who you'll hear from tonight. Luis Diego is a student that we've recently began supporting. Gaius from the Netherlands, he was here a few weeks ago, and we have Johnny in the Philippines, a new work as Daniel in France, and two other new students, Champ Parker and Scott Busby. So those are the 19 works we support today. We will continue to add to this, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But aside from our everyday budget, there's a lot of needs, and they come up, and there's finances and money is needed to help further the cause of the spreading of the good news. And just kind of give you an idea of just in the last 12 months what we've supported. Our current missionaries, aside from what we currently give them, there's emergencies that come up, there's hardships that come up, there's a need that comes up, and we try to support those on a case-by-case basis. But in the last 12 months, we've done almost $38,000 just with our current works and additional support on top of what we ordinarily do. We know Arthur David, who's as Ruth's dad, and he spoke to us, I think, I don't want to even say a year ago, 9 months ago, but approximately there. The mission committee, along with a contribution we took up from each of you, around $6,500 in the last 12 months have gone to Liberia, World Bible School, 3,000, Ethiopian Outreach. It's not a everyday. A lot of these are not every day, but they're one time as indicated. But 3,000 there. We sent money to Gerard in Austria, Vienna, Austria for 3,000. The Ukraine, 3,000. Myron Bruce singing with the Spirit. We know Myron. He's been here. He's led singing. He's been a part of what we do here from time to time, and we've given him support. Josh Blackmer, kind of a little bit about what he does. He and his wife travel in an RV. They plant in these smaller congregations that may be struggling, and they'll spend 6 to 12 months helping rebuild or helping build the congregations. And we've supported that to the tune of about 3,000, and then the World English Institution in Cambodia and Zambia. But it's about $68,000 in the last 12 months that we've offered in addition to our ordinary support. I want to talk a little bit about some new works in the last 12 months. We talked about John Paul. John Paul is a part of our mission effort. He's working locally, really as we look to evangelize to the communities around us. We know that the Spanish-speaking population is growing all around us. It's growing in the state of Texas in particularly, and John Paul's here to help evangelize and to reach our community. So we're thankful to have John Paul as part of our work. As I mentioned, Daniel Farreau in France. Luis Diego from Costa Rica. I think John Paul knows him as he's from Costa Rica as well, but he's a student. And Champ Parker, Scott Busby. Scott Busby is interesting. He's 60 years old and he's decided to go into the ministry, but he has a passion. He wants to reach the lost. He's at a phase in life that he wants to dedicate himself full-time to the ministry. So we're going to support that effort, help him get the tools that he needs to go out and be successful. But Scott will be learning at Bear Valley, and then in the next couple of years he'll be entering the field and begin ministering and preaching the good word. And I'll just put this up here. I won't say it's a work, but I appreciate Larry Kane. As we've tried each month to do a missions prayer, and just again another way to kind of help communicate who are the people, where are they at, what are their needs, and most importantly, lifting them up to our Heavenly Father to bless their work, to protect them, and to guide them in the things that they do. If we look at things that were in discussion, Bismarck Barrera in Panama, we're looking and have approved a new work in Panama. We're working out the details and communication on that and getting that set up, but very soon we'll be having a work in Panama and supporting a preacher there who's growing and working in that area to preach the gospel. Latin American ministries, we've had discussions with them, but really our goal with them is to really to look at maybe people who are coming out of those areas, out of those schools, and look at supporting a graduate that's looking to start and plant congregations. And a lot of times with Latin American ministries, one of the things they do is they'll go do a medical mission. And in a lot of these countries, there's a real need for medical care. And what we see and what we understand is, hundreds or even thousands may come and get the medical care, but at the same time, their interest in the gospel is there. And what happens is then they can take those that they meet and begin teaching the gospel and planting churches. One of the most effective ways, as they tell us, of planting churches in some of these areas is through these medical missions. And so we're looking to find somebody that is going out and being a part of those, and then begins planting the churches, and then us support and help. And then ultimately, what we'd like to have happen is where we as a congregation can help. Whether that, we go out into the mission field, we help with the planning of the congregation. We can be involved, and we can, say make a material difference other than just from a monetary standpoint. So these are things we're trying to tie together. It'll probably take us some time to be able to put all this together and accomplish this, but this is kind of the goals we see. And the same thing with World Bible Institute, kind of the same philosophy with Latin American ministries. We're kind of working with both to figure out how can we partner with people who are planning and going into the mission field, and then partner in that work. Christopher Sirius, a minister at the Church of Christ down in Costa Rica. Again, John Paul's familiar with him and his work, and I know he's supported by, was supported, may still be supported by some of the local congregations in the DFW area, but we're looking at that and hope to make contact with him soon to explore that possibility and to see. And then we talked about Josh Blackburn answering the Macedonian calls and the work that he does, and hope to get that in front of the committee soon and consider that work as we look ahead. Our path forward, deep and or wide, and what does that mean? The mission committee is talking right now. How do we know that that the elders approved for an increase in our mission budget, and certainly we want to put that to work as quickly as we can. And but with that, it takes time to vet. It takes time to deploy and those things. And we also know that we have good works that we support today that are underfunded. So when I say deep or wide, do we go deeper with our current works? Which the answer is most likely yes, and we'll be working through that here in the very near future. And then, wide, how wide do we go in new works, such as the work in Panama and the other things that we've talked about? But it's really a question of managing the deep and wide, and how do we use the funds wisely and to the benefit of lost souls around the world. Another question we talk about and discuss is, and I just put institutions versus a man with a Bible in his hand, and kind of going with Keith's lesson this morning. It's going out and preaching the good news of Jesus and the simplicity of the gospel, and someone out there doing that, right? And so certainly the institutions provide training and can do so quickly or across a broad amount, where maybe sometimes a one man, one at a time, but still believe the power of an individual with a Bible in their hand teaching the gospel message. I just put this up here so you can kind of understand what our guidelines are, because the mission committee is governed by some guidelines that's been established. And the number one thing, if you ask them, what we try to do is support individuals to plant and establish self-supporting churches. Our goal is to support and help, but eventually these churches to grow and become self-sustaining, self-supporting. That's our number one goal. That's what we'd like to see. Secondly, we talked about this a few minutes ago, but integrating us into these mission efforts. And there may be a lot of different ways to do that, but making sure that we're plugged in and we're working with these efforts. And then lastly, to support these institutions that can train young men to go out and to with their families and be able to make a difference in the world. What's next? It's the congregation, or add members to the committee as we continue to grow mission points. Including myself, there's 10 of us on the committee. We have roughly, with Panama coming on board, 20 works. We really like to have 1 or 2 members per mission point, no more than maybe 2 per member. So as we continue to expand, we're looking for that. But there's also other ways that you can get involved, and whether it's communication, whether it's social media post, whether it's a lot of different ways. So, I would ask that you see me or another committee member, because we'd love to put you to work to help us. And I lost my train of thought, but basically we're talking about, congregational type mission trips, whether they're here in the States or they're somewhere else. It takes time and coordination and someone to help coordinate those efforts. So even someone like that could be a part of the committee that could help logistically and different things as we progress and move to that type of work. And then one thing I'll make another plug for World Bible School. We're all commanded to go out and teach the world, and the thing with World Bible School is you get to choose, the time commitment that you're able to put into that, and you're interacting with people who earnestly seek to know the good news of Jesus. And if you haven't looked into it, I encourage you to do so. And a congregation our size, I would hope that we could get more interest and have more people be a part of our World Bible School effort. Some upcoming events. Some of these already happened, but we had Gaius here, as you know. Tonight we're updating the congregation, as we'll try to do on a regular basis. In August, September, this hasn't been finalized, but Ricky Gudam from India may be available to be here to speak to us. So we're hoping to get Ricky here to be able to talk with you, update you on his work, as well as present a lesson to you. And then October, Juan Carlos from Nicaragua will be speaking to us in October, which we're thankful for. We've been trying to get Juan Carlos here for several years, but he's had his visa keeps getting denied. And I think Gary Miley, did a lot of work to try to help and understand what was needed, and we were able to get the visa approved this year. And so Juan Carlos will be here with us in October, and we're thankful for that, and we're looking forward to that. I'm just going to go through. I'm not going to read all the things on the next few slides, but I just want to hit on a handful of our mission points so you can kind of see what they're doing, some of their accomplishments. And we'll look at, I put a quote up here from Serge in Haiti. I think we all know the danger that country is facing right now, the people who are preaching and teaching, and just everyday citizens with the gangs and the violence, what's happening. But I love the quote from Serge. I love Serge's heart. He says, while the whole country is paralyzed with violence, gangs are killing people everywhere, but the gospel never stops preaching because you never stop praying and supporting the missionaries around the world. And that's a powerful statement, and it's regardless of the circumstances, the good news of Jesus Christ continues throughout the world. And we're thankful for that, and we're thankful for men like Serge that are out there proclaiming the gospel even in dangerous situations. If you look at the next here, Serge, a couple of things you can see there, baptism. He's had several baptisms. Some of his challenges, he put gang violence and food shortages. That's some of the things he and the local congregation is facing. But they're still working. They're doing door knocking campaigns. They're doing other things. But he has asked for prayers for peace and security in that country. I just talked to Dennis right before the service started, and and a lot of times Serge moves in and out of the country, and right now it appears that it may be harder for him to get into Haiti. He was there recently. He came back home during that hurricane, and then his trip back, he had trouble entering back into the country. So we'll just have to continue to monitor the situation and see how that goes. Vanden in India, doing very good work. He's very receptive to the gospel in India. 23 baptisms in just Q1 of 2024. He's preaches in a lot of these small villages, and Vanden, he will have Sunday worship service where he may preach, and then right after service or even the next day, he'll travel 20 hours, up to 20 hours, to get into these remote villages to teach people. And he does that throughout the week and then comes back again and preaches. So, sometimes for us a 2 or 3 hour car trip is pretty rough, and in some cases there he's traveling 20 hours to get to some of these villages to teach. Johnny, he's up in the Philippines with the Laity Christian College. They've had 22 graduates, which is the second most they've ever had. In the last couple of months they've had 3 baptisms. And if you look in the top right, they kind of the same thing. They're trying to take care of physical needs so that they can meet the spiritual needs. But you can see a young child with one of their feeding programs that they've done to try to help with hunger and other things that people face in the Philippines. Juan Carlos, we said he'll be here in October, but he's last year was where he really kind of spread his wings and went to a lot of different countries and taught. And recently he noted that he preached to the largest group he'd ever preached to, 450 people, but he was proud to be able to speak in front of that many people and to proclaim the gospel. Gospel Chariots. I didn't put words here because they have so many chariots, so many works going on. It fill up an entire deck of things that they're accomplishing. But 2 things I loved about the pictures. You see in the lower left, you see a woman with a Bible in her lap and an interest in learning. And then the top right, you can't really see it, but you see people seated on the ground. You see a man standing up teaching. But beside, the part that's not shown is a whiteboard where he's in the field and he's teaching. And you got people attentively listening, wanting to know more about discipleship and how to be disciples for Christ. And I just love that picture. John Orr with Home Missions, he tries to help congregations that are, maybe at the point of extinction. And I highlight a lot of things here because I think this is really talks about what he does. But there was a church, Westside Church of Christ in Fort Dodge, Iowa. In 2017, it had 15 members and no full-time preacher. Today, that number's almost tripled. So, in roughly, whatever it's now, 7 years, it's tripled in size, and they've had over 40 baptisms in the last 3 years using the evangelistic tools that John and his team were able to teach the people of that congregation. And then lastly, with over the 600 churches in the last 8 years they've worked with, only 2% of those have closed their doors. So they've been able to help revitalize some of these smaller churches in these local communities and to keep them going so that, again, the truth can be taught. Gaius, I won't go through a lot of this. He spoke to us a few weeks ago, but we know the good work he's doing in Europe and trying to spread the gospel all throughout Europe, and we also know he works with Vanden in India, etc. Daniel Farreau, he's from France, and he's someone we recently started supporting. He's kind of in the northeast part that borders Germany is where he is located. I don't claim, maybe I should, but I don't claim to know as much about France, and Christianity, but using some of the information he gave, at one point there was estimated to be about 400 Christians in the country of France, and whether it's more or whether it's less, that was the statistic I was given. But I love the story that he told that just recently happened in March, where he was able to teach and convert someone, and as a result of that, it kind of reminds me of where it was, can anything good come out of Nazareth, and come and see. And this is what happened in this case. You had a friend who went and told his buddies, and 4 other friends were baptized as a result of teaching one. Now, if we use the 400 Christians in the country of France, again, just using it as a baseline, whether that's real or not, but that's a 1% growth in the Lord's church just by those conversions. And so, we can continue that, and Daniel continues his good work, and we're trying to, at some point, we'll try to get him and Gaius connected, and where they cross over and can support one another as well. And he's launching an outreach program in June. The next one, Baxter, we know that they're teaching. They recently began their school year back, but they had 25 congregations gather. More than 1,200 attended. We know Will at the Southeast Institute of Biblical Studies. He's teaching there. Damian Chesmer, a student, you remember he spoke to us probably about a year ago as well, an outstanding young man, has graduated. He's going to Heritage now for his master's, but a fine young man. He has graduated and moving into the ministry. And our very own Keith Harris was able to speak at their lectureships that they had recently in April. World Bible School, I just want to touch on really one key point, but I think it's a good one. In 2024, 4 new disciples have been added to the kingdom based on the Louisville study members. So the people right here that we talked about that are studying with these individuals, we've this year had 4 new souls added to the church because of the efforts of the study committees and the study groups that are here. And we're working to try to use the World Bible School tools with our current missionaries as another way to reach and to send people that way and to try to do that. Mission printing, we talked about that. They send materials. They've sent now 53 containers or more now, but at the time put this together, over 53 containers of material to these countries to help with the teaching and the studying. And lastly, I'll just mention John Paul, and I'll read a quote that he put in he made one day, but he said, "I feel a great weight on my shoulders for the responsibility that God has given me." And John Paul, we love your heart. We love your heart for God, and we appreciate you. And John Paul, he's hit the ground running, and maybe I'll take responsibility. Haven't maybe given him full maybe guidelines or how to go about things, but he's hit the ground running. He didn't need me telling him, and he's done door knocking campaigns in the local area. He has studied with a lady that cleans our building, and I think she's been attending. I don't know if she still is, but I know she did attend after some Bible studies. And John Paul, we're thankful for the work you're doing. So with that, come up and preach the good news to us.
To God our Savior, who is alone in wise, be glory, be majesty, dominion and power, but now and forever. Amen. Jude, verse 25. It is a privilege to me, brothers and sisters, to be with you in this special day. It's my first time that I speak in English in front of all of these people, all of these brothers. So, wow, it is difficult. And you invite all of these to the PTCs. Wow. So I want to say thank you for the elders to supervise our job and all the things that they do for us. And obviously I want to say thank you to Jani. Jani do a great job for us. I think she in this moment studied Spanish because I only talking in Spanish and thinking what Jean Paul said to me or something like that. But I am very happy to be with you. I coming around the last 2 years to study the Bible in Brown Trail School of Preaching in the Spanish department with my visa M1. So when finished the last December, all the process in the school, so I received a good opportunity to be here and encourage all the brethren here and help all the people in Louisville community in Spanish, obviously. And so I am very excited for this work, and I am learning for all my brothers and sisters, and thank you for this good opportunity to you bring to me. And I am married too. I have a little baby, Milena. Milena kisses to all. And I want to say thank you too to Gary Kaiser and grandmommy, grandmommy is here. They are from Keller Church of Christ. They bring me a special place to live in North Richland Hill. So if you wanna visit, we have like dogs, chickens. so please do the time and visit and know about my family and all the work that I want to do. And thank you for all the help that you bring to my family. In the Bible, we read about a lot of heroes. If you go to a Spanish dictionary or like a dictionary, a hero is a special person to do a distinguished job or work. If some synonym of like a hero is like a star, probably you have some star in your life. For me, I have a lot of stars because I love soccer. So, you know, Messi or something like that. I love soccer, and all the people know Messi because he do a good job, you know, in soccer. But some people or some brothers in some biblical cases, it doesn't happen in the same manner. Some do not want to put themselves in their shoes. Others do not even know them. So it is my prayer that this devotional help us to love our heroes of the Bible, to love the true histories of the Bible, that the men, our brothers, do a good job and excellent service for share the gospel to others. So I want to consider the service of Gaius. Probably you know them. It's in 3 John verse 5 and 6. But first I want to introduce a little bit this epistle. This epistle written by the elder John the Apostle. 3 John verse 1. The place of write this letter is from Ephesus, probably 91. So he destined this letter to Gaius. Gaius is a beloved. He presents the elder to the beloved Gaius, verse 1, who I love in the truth. This epistle or letter have 15 verses. And the purpose of this epistle, there is a contrast. A contrast between the desire of doing what is right and doing what is wrong. Some other, like Diotrephes, is there in verse 9. I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to have the preeminence among them, doesn't receive us. So Diotrephes is not a good example in the church. He wants to be like, I am here, I am more than others. But we read about Demetrius. Demetrius in verse 11, the Bible said, "Beloved, do not imitate evil, but imitate God. Whoever does God is from God. Whoever does evil has not seen God." So this is a contrast in this letter, you know, doing what is right and doing what is wrong. And the central theme of this epistle is cooperating with the truth. The faithful Christian is an example for all the people. So I want to see 3 aspects regarding the service of Gaius. And the service comes from the Greek that means work or produce. We want to talk about these 3 topics. The Bible teaches us the service of Gaius was honest. Verse 5, the service of Gaius was sacrificial, and the service of Gaius was a guide. First of all, the service of Gaius was honest. Read with me verse 5. Beloved, it is a faithful thing you do in all your effort for these brothers, a stranger as they are. So let us notice how John describes Gaius like a beloved. For John, Gaius was a beloved person. So this description shows a true, a genuine love, because John received a report from the brethren about the blameless conduct of Gaius. You see that in verse 3 and 4. How did Gaius, the question is, how did Gaius walk in the truth? So these two verses came and testified are in present participle. This means that the brethren came and went testify about Gaius walking in the truth. Gaius walking in the truth because he was working. Some brothers think that since they belong to the Church of Christ, they already walk in the truth. Whoever to walk in the truth means to serve the brethren and the strangers, not to be only in the seat. We need to do the work, like share the gospel, involved in all the service that the church do. Is not only like obey the gospel, be baptized to remission our sins. Is do the work, share to others, do disciples. You know, you read that in Matthew 28, verse 18 to 20. We need to make disciples. It is not only to come and listen. It is a part, but it's not all the part. We need to do like Gaius do. Gaius do a good service for the brethren and for the strangers. And this is what you do, brothers. All of this mission that you do, all of this effort, you serve a lot of brethren, and you don't know anything about all of these brothers and the work that they do in all the world. So this is the service that God wants to us. So this adjective faithful describes the service that Gaius was doing. Faithful comes from the Greek that means honored. So this adjective with the verb do in Greek are in present and active voice. The active voice means that the subject need to do the things. Anybody do the work for others. So I be responsibility to do the work. Anybody do the work for me. This is what the Bible teaches us in this verse. This means that Gaius serves constantly. Every day, Gaius do this service to the brothers and for the strangers with honesty, with real and in the truth. So the service of Gaius was faithful to the brethren and to the strangers. You remember probably Galatians verse 6, chapter 6, verse 10. Whoever, it is safe to say that this service was faithful towards anyone around him. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are the household of faith. So in first time, the service of Gaius was honest. In second time, the service of Gaius was sacrificial. Verse 6, who have borne witness of your love before the church. Before I explain the service of Gaius, let us consider the meaning of the noun witness. That means speak favorably of or have a good reputation. The service of Gaius had a great impact in other people's lives. Somebody said that I am doing that, or sharing, in Facebook or YouTube. I am doing that. But the Bible teaches the brothers came, and testify the service of Gaius. Somebody want to, I am serving the Lord, and I take pictures or selfies, but Gaius don't do that. The brothers speak favorably for his job in the Lord. The noun, brothers, the noun love comes from the Greek, that is agape. Agape, that means stop being so that another can grow. Decrease, so another can suffer for my sacrifice. Seek and do the greatest good for others. This is love, brothers. Do the best for others. Impact to other brother. Is this brother grow? I am grow. But this brother don't grow. We need to do something for this brother. This is love. And the greatest expression of love is Jesus Christ in the cross. Jesus Christ explained this sacrificial love to us. You remember Philippians chapter 2, verse 5 to 8. Did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation. This is sacrificial love. Christ did not consider himself. Christ made himself of no reputation. Christ took to the form of a bond servant. Christ became a man. Christ humbled himself. There is pain. There is agony. There is contempt. This is what God wants to us, to others. Service with this sacrificial love. This is what Gaius service to all the brothers. And if he don't know, doing the same, no matter. We need to do the same to all the people. So we learn in this second point that the Bible teaches us the service of Gaius one sacrificial. So remember, if you don't understand anything, remember only the first point. The service of Gaius, was honest. The second point is the service of Gaius was sacrificial, and the last point is the service of Gaius was a guide. In verse 6, the second part said, if you send them for war, one day journey in a manner worthy of God, you will do well. It is said to be in a place needing to travel to another, and lacking that means to get there. It's like me, brothers. I am here. If my Waze or Google Maps don't work, I need to sleep here, really, because I don't know where am I, It's difficult to drive here and know the place. It is this part. Remember, like the things that I live here. John advised Gaius to guide the brethren. Read this like send them for war. That means to provide what is necessary for a trip. So this is a guide. He goes before the rest. He is an example. He is a good leader, like he is a vigilant. This truth can apply in different sense. like to equip necessary to do the work, or to accompany. Let us remember the example of faith in James. You remember in James chapter 2, verse 14 to 18, how this, what does is provide, my brethren? If some say he has faith but does not have work, can faith save him? And the verse 18 said, you have faith and I have work. Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. So from what we have learned, I am sure that Gaius don't tell to the brethren like doing the things. I pray for you. No, not only pray, help. So Gaius provide what is necessary for these brethren. Gaius do the best for these brethren and to no brethren too. So the service of Gaius was a guide. 3 aspects we talking for you this afternoon. In this lesson, we seen our Bible hero, our brother Gaius. 3 aspects of his service. The service of Gaius was honest. The service of Gaius was sacrificial. Do the best to others. And the service of Gaius was a guidance. Pardon. Oh, sorry. Now, what about us? What about us? We will remind, or we be just like him? The decision, brothers, is ours. If we just only read about him, or imitate him. Remember, the service of Gaius, honest, serving the brethren, and serving no brethren, with sacrifice, serving the brethren, or no brethren, with a guide, serving the brethren, no brethren. So may God help us to practice the service that we read in the scripture. Sing or something like that. Stand up. If you want to be a part of the church, so give us opportunity to introduce you to the gospel and praying for you and help to you.